Mr. Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Councilmember Duncan. Councilmember Ramirez.
Here.
Councilmember Lord.
Here.
Vice Mayor Callahan.
Here.
Mayor Mirbach. We have a quorum.
Right. Everybody, please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. So as this is a workshop, as everybody knows, it is a very, very limited agenda. So at this point, I will turn the floor over to our town manager, Ralph Casals. Ralph?
Thank you, Vice Mayor, members of council. I know that I think Councilmember Duncan is going to be joining us online via Zoom, so he's also present. Thank you, and thank you for the public that's here tonight and the folks watching at home. This is our second budget workshop that we have. The first one was our budget visioning session that occurred on June 17th. So what I'd like to do at this point is just have the clerk bring up the PowerPoint presentation. We'll go through a PowerPoint presentation, Vice Mayor and council members, and then we'll go into individual departments and kind of got skimmed through that process there. Once again, the budget detail workbooks is posted on our website, and then also I would like to see if I could have the clerk's office just a new wrinkle this year. If we could go ahead and also post this PowerPoint presentation, so in case folks don't want to watch the video, they could click on to the presentation as well. So thank you, Mauricio. Just we're getting more and more efficient every year. So I think that was just a new wrinkle for folks. Okay, as I mentioned, tonight is our second budget workshop. Our first budget workshop was held on June 17th. Our second one obviously is today. Our third budget workshop is scheduled for Tuesday, August 25th. Our budget hearing dates are set via Resolution 2643. The first budget hearing date is scheduled for Tuesday, September the 8th. Second budget hearing date is Tuesday, September the 22nd. So September is going to be a busy month, right? So we have September 8th is the first budget hearing. Our regular town council meeting is September the 16th, which is the Wednesday. And then obviously the second budget hearing will be on September 22nd. All the budget hearings and workshops are scheduled for 6 p.m. here in the town council chambers. Our first budget workshop, as I mentioned, was on June 17th. We had some folks in the audience, but we also had over 228 views that were viewed on YouTube. So that's great. Something that one of the metrics that we're starting to track. We promoted the budget workshops through our e-blast, and we are happy to say that we have over 8,000 subscribers. In fact, while I'm on the subscriber list, I know that I emailed the council this afternoon. We just broke the 30,000 mark for social media followers. So that is a tribute to the town, to Rod Gibson. So we have over 30,000 on all of our social media platforms. So that's great. That's actually an increase from last year of over 3,000 folks. So that we hit a new mark. I just want to, take that opportunity to mention that here. We also announced the council meetings and the workshops in the community news center pages. Also posted on our town website, and also displayed on two of our electronic message boards, the Korean Boulevard, 107th, Marlin Road, and Old Cutler. But the one we're also excited about is the new one that's going to be put on Frangel Road near Gulfstream. So as people drive by, what is that little rock thing? Well, there's going to be another message board there. So we're going to have three of our major corridors for there. And then when we actually start doing our complete streets for Marlin Road, there'll be another one, near Marlin Road and US 1 as well. So we're trying to capture as many folks that we can. And then certainly you could always go on to and subscribe to our newsletters here on our QR code. So just want to remind the council, we have a transparency portal that folks could go visit. This is just a little quick snapshot on our website. We also perform 4 times a year. Our finance director, Robert Daddario, who was also online here via Zoom, here participating. We're here, so thank you, Robert. We perform this 4 times a year. We also, which provides a snapshot of where we are in the fiscal year budget, revenues, both revenues and expenses. And then you can actually watch our latest report at that link that's provided there. I think it's really a lot of our YouTube channels there that we have. Another reminder, we have received the Government Finance Officer Association Award for Excellence from 2007 to 2024. We actually have applied already for the 2025. That's 18 consecutive years of peer review of our financial reporting. And then also our Budget Presentation Award we had received from 2015 to 2022, and that's 7 consecutive years, and we're working on for our next fiscal year as well. Millage rate. I know this is a little hard to read here, but I think I want to just draw attention right there. We are the ninth lowest in Miami-Dade County. 9th lowest. So we are committed to keep that millage rate. Our property tax values, as you can see throughout the years, last year increased 6% increase. 6% increase, just about 0.5% lower than the county-wide increase. Our fund balance, what we call our fund balance on savings account, a lot of people like saying just savings account. We are at 27.7. That was the audited financials that we just had last month with our external auditor. Now, some of the things that we talked about in our first budget visioning, I'm not going to go through all of it, but I just want to give you some highlights from our first budget visioning workshop for the folks that are here today and are tuning in now. We know that last year we had an audited deficit. A lot of it we already knew because we had the legacy park that we committed some of the funding, and we'll talk about later. So our audited deficit for last year was $988,000. If not for the use of those unrestricted funds for soil remediation, and we're going to keep saying soil remediation several times throughout this presentation, and what we refer to as arsenic, all right? And we could debate naturally occurring or what have you. We understand that. We know our position is very strong about that. If it wasn't for that, we would have been in a surplus of $3.2 million. Again, just a little quick recap from our first budget visioning workshop in June 17th. Also, we know some things that are coming down from the state. We have Save Our Homes, excessive property taxes, right? I mean, there was a court challenge that was just filed yesterday. There was a hearing that was there. And if Roger, I wanted to take a little commercial break, if you could kind of brief us what's going on with that appeal.
Yeah, absolutely. Mr. Manager, yesterday my firm, Jamie Cole of my firm, actually presented at a hearing before the judge in Tallahassee. We feel that our message was received, and obviously now they're requesting orders from both sides, and we're preparing that, and we're going to be providing that to the judge. We're hopeful, but obviously no promises on that. And I guess just to add to that, Save Our Homes from Excessive Property Taxes would be a different title if our order would be given.
Right. Thank you, Roger. I know we've also been in contact with our friends from the Florida League of Cities. I just had a recent conversation with Casey Cook, as well. So there's a lot of cities that are obviously opposing the leading language. So we'll see how that kind of goes through the court system. I just wanted to take that opportunity because we're one of the lead cities that filed that lawsuit. So thank you, Roger, for that briefing. So what will that do for us? The impact on property tax reform. A lot of these numbers might be familiar to the council. In 2027, if it's increased an additional $150,000 to homestead property exemption, we have over 10,000 properties in Cutler Bay out of the 19,000 that we have that will be impacted. Reduction in yearly ad valorem revenues, $2.8 million. That number is a little bit higher than you saw last time because when I previously reported, it was 2.5. But right now we have some good accurate numbers because our source is the Florida Revenue Estimating Conference report that was published by the state of Florida on July 13th. there's a lot of folks that have different numbers from all different places. We want to make sure we just go to that source. This is what presented to the state and Senate by the state of Florida. So we were just a little bit off, but I just want to make sure that that number's there. Now, second part of that in 2028, the proposed is an additional 250,000 homestead property exemption. Again, we still have that same, 10,000. Here, the reduction will be $5 million. Last time I reported about 4.4 million. So now this is based on that source. So these are more accurate numbers from the state of Florida. So that is $5 million reduction in our ad valorem. Out of a total of right now, currently we collect 11.8 million, which is about 30% of our revenue source, as reported in the first budget visioning workshops. But now we have to deal with other items, House Bill 1329, which goes in effect on January 2027. This is already going to go into effect. I'll go through these quickly because I know in our first budget visioning workshop, we actually went into detail on each of these categories. And if residents would like to just kind of look at our YouTube, view our YouTube site channel there, and they could obtain more details, or they could simply just contact my office if we provide them the information. So requires budgets to be posted on municipality website. Not a big thing. Requires quarterly employee compensation reports and annual budget calendars. So we're going to modify that. And we talked about it in the first budget visioning. Here requires an annual budget cutting exercise, which will result in posted online 10% reduction. As I mentioned in the first budget workshop, that's almost close to that $2.8 million. And 10% would be about $3 million. Our budget is about approximately $30 million. So that'll be that exercise. It's really close. Update how long budget information must be remain posted online. Requires counties to provide at least 5 days notice before budget amendment hearings, which we do that already. So this is just a quick recap of House Bill 1329, which will be, it's already a law, be in effect on January 27. Some of the items that we also talked about is continue to anticipate budgeting to maintain the current levels of service in fiscal year 26-27. We are anticipating budgeting the following significant initiatives: general government, Parks and Recreation Department, and Public Works Department. Again, for more of those details, you can view our June 17th budget visioning session. So I just want to make sure, I just want to take a pause here, quick water break, but I just want to see if there's any questions so far. Sorry, Vice Mayor. Yes.
Any questions from council? Nope.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, so now we're going into our current fiscal year we're in right now, 25-26. We have a projected deficit of $4.5 million. That number is a big number. It should scare everybody a little bit, but there's some things that we're going to talk about here that we're anticipating that have not hit our books yet. Pending revenues. We have various grants, land sale, the 2 acres of Coastal Ridge Reserve. We also have some voluntary cleanup tax credits. In fact, the council just approved last month, $450,000. But then we also have some soil remediation expenses that were funded by the town's unrestricted reserve fund balance, as we call it, also savings account. We're going to go into detail. We got Legacy Park, as we know, and Blue Heron Park. Now, in regards to some of the pending revenues, Veterans Park. We have the Florida's Communities Trust grant. We just completed all the documentation. They approved our project plan. So kudos to Lakeisha and ET staff working on that. And we should be receiving, hopefully here within the next 60 days, within this current fiscal year, $1.5 million towards the reimbursement towards the purchase. If you recall, when we also were awarded a Florida's Communities Trust for the Coastal Reserve, we received over $865,000. Here, we're receiving the full amount, $1.5 million, because our grant application scored very high. Then we have Coastal Ridge Preserve, the pending sale of the 2-acre site, which is that eastern sliver. That we've discussed. And here we know that, again, not official yet, but we know that we could estimate approximately $1.8 million which is nearly what we paid for because now that property is on the A list. We worked very hard from going from the B to the A. That's been years coming. So thank you for everybody. This literally was a grassroots efforts. And then we went to the EAL-LASC committee, Land Acquisition Selection Committee. And then the Board of County Commissioners, through the help of Commissioner Cohen Higgins, approved our property to be on the A list. So this is literally a number that I'm confident to show publicly that we've been negotiating. And hopefully once the remediation is completed and coastal reserve, there's some areas there that have, again, arsenic. We have right now our environmental contractor, Pier Inc., is finalizing the soil management report that's going to be submitted to Miami-Dade County Durham. Once that's approved, then I will come back to the council to let you know, similar to what we did with Veterans Park, of what we estimate that cost is going to be, and then certainly pursue an FDP grant. It's not large enough to create a brownfield like we did at Blue Herring Park. So total, we know some pending revenue is about 3.3. Expenses related to soil remediation, and yes, I put that in parentheses, arsenic, so we understand it. Legacy Park, Blue Herring Park. What I did not list here, I want to go back to a second. What I did not list there was Veterans Park. If you recall, we received a grant from the state of Florida, FTEP, that where the state of Florida will be conducting that cleanup. And that is, up to $150,000 worth of cleanup, which is below the estimate that our consultant our environmental consulting totaled, if that makes sense. That's why you don't see Veterans Park there for the folks that are following. Legacy Park soil remediation. Yes, we know that $12.8 million via Resolution 2049. Funding sources, American Rescue Plan, 6.5. Town's unrestricted reserve fund balance, 6.3. We know the total project was 12.8. So I highlighted that because, again, that's been our commitment back in 25 for the soil remediation at Legacy Park. And from that date, we said we were going to complete looking for grants. We created a brownfield. We are receiving VCTCs that I'm going to talk about shortly. So we're trying to recoup some of that $6.3 million. Voluntary cleanup class credits. So it's a busy chart, but I just want to go year by year. So since 2021 to 2025, every year we have been submitting eligible amounts. And looking at this one here, eligible amount in 2025, that we actually reached the max, which the max is up to $1 million. Up to $1 million. So out of that $12.8 million that we previously had, and out of that $6.3 million that we committed our unrestricted fund balance, we were successful to go ahead and be awarded up to $1 million worth of voluntary tax cleanup. So the way that works, once you get the eligible amount, it's a grant, almost like a grant, right? So we know that we're going to get that full amount. The first 50%, that's the column I'm in right now, you will get that in what's called voluntary cleanup tax credits. And then we sell those at 90 cents on a dollar, which we just recently did to our partners at Publix through an agreement that we have that was approved at the last council meeting. So now we start recouping some of those funds. So eligible expenses, we know that the remaining funds from the 1.5 million to 763, the remaining funds will be provided to the town at the project closeout. At the project closeout. And that is why you saw us actually try to get an extra 25% bonus by breaking away from the Publix agreement and creating our own brownfield, because now we'll get that project closeout bonus instead of splitting that with Publix. That was another item that was presented before the town council, and thank you, because that was voted upon unanimously. So now we have our own brownfield. We're not a co-applicant. So because of the 25% bonus at the end. So there's going to be even more funds coming back to recoup and be deposited right back to our unrestricted reserve fund balance. Blue Herring Park. It's a $3.3 million project. We approved that to the Redland Company for the soil remediation there. But not only soil remediation, we also had some park improvements there as well. As you recall, we're going to be extending the trail, replacing all the workout equipment, and replacing the pavilions. So it's not just, it's a little bit more, but it's not millions and millions of dollars, those improvements. But since we were there, we're going to go ahead and improve it. All of the equipment, outdoor equipment, will be brand new. The Vita Course, the trail, is going to be made out of FlexiPave. It's going to be wider and longer. And we're also putting in a brand new pavilion as well. So Kimley Horn Associates, CEI, we call that project oversight for the construction side. Again, approved via resolution. And then also we had Kimley Horn Soil Management because it is a brownfield. So now we also have the management of the brownfield, the reporting, the monitoring, and obviously the reimbursement. So this Blue Heron Park is a total of $3.6 million. Again, I highlighted this, funded through the town's unrestricted reserve. Again, a lot of those we're going to get reimbursed. Voluntary cleanup tax credits. This was our first year. We were successful to recoup and have FDEP approve over $802,000. We then 50% of that we'll get in the tax credit. There's a certificate, and hopefully in September. Right now, we're finalizing negotiations with this one here. We don't have a contract with Public, so we can sell that in the open market. And right now, I'm very hopeful that we could sell that better than 90 cents on a dollar. Might be 92, might be 93 cents on a dollar. But again, it's a cliche. Every penny counts. Right. So hopefully we'll be able to get that sold in the open market. There's a lot of demand for these types of voluntary cleanup credits. So we're working closely with our outside counsel, Michael Goldstein, to get that. And hopefully you'll see that in our upcoming meeting either in September or October. Again, another one that's going to hit this fiscal year. Any questions so far? Oh, sorry, Vice Mayor. Yes.
Any questions? Nope.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so now it's kind of setting the table, right? So now we adopted Resolution 2643. What did that do? It set the ceiling millage rate at 2.9143. Our current millage rate is 2.8332. Also, the resolution sets the budget hearing dates, times, and place. As I mentioned before, first budget hearing September 8th, second budget hearing September the 22nd, both on Tuesdays, 6 p.m. in the council chambers. What's that result? Now, the property tax collector now has enough information for the trim notice, truth and millage notice. Okay, as we do every year, here's a sample. And then we also have scheduled to be mailed out in late August. They will have stated there our ceiling millage rate of 2.9143. And it will inform all property owners of our dates, time, and place for scheduled budget hearings. Millage rate for the last 10 years. As you can see here, we have the millage rate, and we have the resolution that set the ceiling rate. But as I mentioned during the budget visiting session, we're committed to keep it at the same rate. So what you'll see later tonight, we're proposing the budget be built around the 2.8332 millage rate. Again, I want to bring this graphic back up. Even at the 2.8332, keeping our same rate, we're still obviously the 9th lowest. We won't know what other cities do until they go through their budget workshops right now. But again, we're committed to still maintain that spot and possibly maybe improve depending on some of the other cities, if they're going to raise it or not. But we're committed to keep it at that 2.8332. Millage rate ceiling discussion. So the proposed budget that we're going to talk about in a little bit, the 2627, is built at the 2.9143 set by resolution 2643, which I'm very proud to say because we literally went department by department. And thank you. I see a lot of department heads here in the audience. We literally went page by page, sheet by sheet. I wasn't going to, count how many paper clips, but we were getting close, right? We're getting close. And this budget at the 2.9143 provides at a surplus of $3.1 million. Again, we're recommending keeping the millage rate at 2.8332, which will still, it'll reduce the proposed ceiling budget of $352,000, but we still end up with a $2.8 million surplus. Now, I wanted to spend a couple seconds here because we know there's going to be some property tax reform that you're going to see later. So we feel very comfortable with this number here because it provides us some opportunities. In the previous charts, you saw unrestricted fund balance drawing down from our savings. This budget here, we feel that it's going to be one of our opportunities to try to, what we call fill back the kitty, fill back our fund balance, unrestricted fund reserves, while still maintaining the 2.8332. So major financial impacts that we know coming up in the 26-27. Parks and Recreation Department, we know that Blue Heron Park project is done. So we don't have to carry over, over almost $2 million worth of soil remediation because it's going to be completed. Our park, due to pool closures, you'll see salaries and benefits reduced by $546,000 in the Parks Department, but also the utilities are reduced over $163,000. Remember, we've gone through those dark days of $39,000 water bills. Now it's literally, I think last time I spoke to our parks director was like down to $284. Okay, but we also have to absorb. One of our biggest departments, Town Sheriff's Office, has an increase of 7% increase, which results into a $925,000 due to increased Florida retirement system, increase in county's health insurance costs, merit raises previously negotiated, and collective bargaining. This item, as I mentioned before, I've had conversation with my colleagues from Palmetto Bay and Miami Lakes, the 3 city managers that have contracts with the Miami-Dade County Sheriff's Department, and we're going to collectively start going back to the sheriff and try to create some type of ceiling of increases for future increases and or what the county charges us, and you'll see that later on, overhead for each department budget. So you'll see that as well. But again, this is our biggest department. Any questions so far? Sorry, well, Vice Mayor, I keep saying the same thing. Okay, thank you. So now we're going to go into the detailed budget book. For the folks that are in the audience, we actually have 3 hard copies in the back of the room. For the folks viewing at home, this is what is posted on our town website. So you could go on and view it. Okay, so if anything, you'll look at the nice executive summary that's listed on page 7, and it'll provide you, I call it the nice little cheat sheet with cross-reference to where to find it and what page number to find it. Most importantly, I think we want to spend a couple minutes here on the general fund, where we actually have actuals from fiscal year 24-25. We have adopted from fiscal year 25-26, and then we also have projections from 25-26, and then we also then have our proposed budget based on the 2.9143 ceiling rate. We'll have a column there, obviously, for any type of council changes. And then we have the proposed, which is going to be the same as the proposed, because right now we haven't gone through any council changes there. But then you also have the net change, but more importantly, you have right on the side some of the significant changes from fiscal year 25-26 adopted budget. We also have here, as I mentioned before, this budget before you is based on the 2.9143 millage rate, which provides a surplus of 3.161914 surplus. So individual departments and detailed budget worksheets. We provide the council and the public the exact worksheets that all my department heads deal with and that I review with each individual department head. There's a sample. You have the budget sheet. Sorry, you have the budget worksheet, and then you have the detailed budget worksheet on the bottom there. It's kind of the grayish looking there that actually provides each of the details. We have mayor and town council, town clerk, general government, finance, town attorney, community development, public works, town sheriff's office, and parks and recreation in that particular order. So one of the things we've also done is detail account worksheets for each staff members. Just happen to pick the finance department, position. Now we're going to go in from, my right to left. We have what was provided in the budget in 25-26, proposed budget 26-27, any council changes, manager's requests. What we did since last year, we also broke out the merit, the COLA, and base salary. Any questions? Yeah. Thank you. All right. Oh, yes. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, Councilmember Lord.
Thank you, Vice
Thank you.
Mayor. I waited until the end of your presentation because I didn't want to interrupt the flow of everything that you were saying. I don't like to do that to people. I do want to say a couple of things that need to be repeated and should be heard. First is Rod Gibson. Thank you for your work with our socials. 30,000 is significant, and that's a testament to what you're doing. And also, I want to reinforce the fact that for 18 years running, we've been awarded an excellence in financial reporting, and that is very significant. We sit up here, we're dealing with our taxpayer dollars. It's my money, it's your money. And the fact that we are awarded 18 years in a row for being, responsible with that money. I think that's our most important job. And I just want to commend staff for that. I don't want that to get overshadowed in all these numbers that we're looking at right now. I want to also mention, the increase in the police budget, which is no slight to any of our departments, I think is our most important department that we have here in the town with our, safety. And one of the things that brings people to Cutler Bay, one of the reasons why we rebranded as Cutler Bay is to have a stronger police presence. I think we still are going to have a 3.1 million surplus, having had to pay almost $1 million more for our police department. But I also love the idea that we're going to try and create a ceiling with the sheriff's office. I think that's great forethinking, and I appreciate that from you. Also want to mention, again, all of this is to reinforce what you just heard from our town manager. The prospective revenue that we have coming in, the $1.5 million grant for Veterans Park and the $1.8 million sale to Eel for Coastal Ridge Preserve, that should not be overlooked. That required a great deal of work on behalf of our staff. And I thank you so much for doing that as a taxpayer, right? And as a resident, not only as a council member. I know that I believe that we've all sat with our town manager at some point to have a briefing on this workshop. I know I have. And there are some slides, if you don't mind, Ralph, I would like for you to maybe go back through. It's important for us to remember that while we have a potential, $3.1 million surplus, we did commit $6.3 million of our savings to Legacy Park, and then again, $3.6 million for Blue Heron Park, right? So I think it's important for us to, as we would in our own homes, kind of take care of the surplus. We have some potentially dark times coming before us with this property tax reform. So if you don't mind, Ralph, maybe if we can in particular look at slide 21. I know that we were talking about 24-25 fiscal year, we had a $988,000 deficit, and then 25-26 fiscal year was a 4.5. If we can just maybe dive into that just a little bit more so the residents have a better understanding of that. If you don't mind, just clean that up a little bit for me.
Sure. Thank you, Councilmember Lord. And then, yes, each of the council members had detailed briefings with me. So I want to just put that on the record. And while the town clerk brings up these slides, let me make sure what slide? Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, 19, 21, and 16.
Okay, so if we
And
could,
10, sorry, and
oh,
10.
10?
10, 16,
Okay,
19.
we'll try to take them in order here. Thank you, Mauricio, for your assistance there. Okay, so what you see in this slide here, council members and audience, is just a recap from our audited financials, right? We're fiscal year 24-25, the one that we just had complete audited, that we had a deficit dip, right? That in one of the previous slides you saw where we had like, $27.7 million, though we know we had a dip there of $988,000. And a lot of it was attributed to the, over $4 million worth of usage of fund reserve, because as I mentioned, Legacy Park, we had a couple of things going on there. So we have our fiscal year that goes from September to October, but then we have the calendar year where we could get reimbursed for our voluntary tax cleanup credits from FDEP. So, you got to sit there and have 2 different years, right? So this one here is audited 988,000. And again, I think the biggest thing there, as I mentioned before, if it wasn't for the soil, we would have been in the plus $3.2 million. So I hope that gets slide 10 at least.
Right, exactly.
Okay. And next slide, sorry, what was
Sorry.
It's okay.
16.
15? Okay,
16.
Oh, 16. Okay. So, this slide here is our projected deficit. Again, this is something that we want to be completely transparent that our projected deficit right now is that, but we know we had some pending revenues that we had. So that right now, again, it's not audited. It's $4.5 million. It's a quick snapshot as of July.
The next one was 19.
19. Okay, so I think the biggest highlight on this slide here was our reluctance, commitment, I guess, right? Because that was a really hard pill to swallow there. All right, but we've beaten that horse down. Where it talks about the American Rescue Plan, where we had to commit over $12.8 million, but we also committed $6.3 million of our fund balance reserves with the promise, I don't want to use another word, committed, but the promise that we will start replenishing that fund through grants and or voluntary cleanup tax credits, which we showed graphically how much we were able to recoup. Voluntary cleanup class, 50% of it,
Right.
because once the project is closed, it depends on what fiscal year that is, then we'll get the remaining 50%.
The final slide is 21, please.
Okay, this one here, again, Blue Herring Park, that we have committed over $3.6 million. And that one there, similar to Legacy Park, we will obtain cleanup tax credits. We were able to recoup over $802,000. 401 will be, hopefully we could get that at 90 cents or plus 92 or 93 cents there on this one here to get reimbursed this fiscal year to replenish that item there. But also, more importantly, we know that there's potential litigation with the original property owners there but again, that's long term. So we were committed to reopen that park. I mean, the folks that are watching at home and live around there, we apologize. It's taken a little bit longer, but as I mentioned before, we were negotiating with Miami-Dade County Durham to protect the 297 trees. And then what do you put around the bases of trees? And we were just able to do that. So if you go out there today, you'll start seeing some activity there. The mountains of dirt are now spread out and compacted throughout the property there. And I think according to our parks director that meets with our consultant there on a bi-weekly basis, I think it's sometime the first part of August, you'll see a lot more activity there. All the supplies and equipments are either on site or stored at the contractor site. And then you'll start seeing the path layout, the pavilion, the workout equipment, so we could go ahead and close out that project. And hopefully within the next 4 to 5 weeks, we'll hopefully invite everybody for a ribbon cutting.
Thank you. And that's significant because there has been chatter online about how long this has taken with Blue Heron Park. So for anyone who's listening, 4 weeks or so, we should be done, and that's great. I know that we have had discussions about pending litigate or starting litigation, but that is long-term, that's big picture, and that's not something we can really focus on for this budget. But the reason why I asked you to revisit those 4 slides was because, and you know from working with me, and you know that I have separate sidebar meetings with other individuals who deal with our finances. It's a lot. It's perhaps it is not perhaps, it is the most important thing we do as a council member when we're dealing with our taxpayer dollars. And I don't take that role lightly. It's the one thing that affects our everyday life here in Cutler Bay, and we've been so transparent. This workshop has been very transparent, and that's why I wanted you to revisit those 4 slides, and I thank you for your time. I thank my council for the time. I know you guys have already seen it, a couple of times, but it was important for the public to see those slides yet again, so they're not overlooked. I think it's important also with whatever potential property tax reform is coming. I personally am very nervous about that, and I think that whatever surplus we have, we need to hold on to protect us from possible dark times that we might have. So again, I thank you, town manager, for your time and for the leeway from my council. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Lord. Councilmember Ramirez.
Thank you, Councilmember Lord, for bringing up several points that our residents may or may not have understood through the presentation. It kind of made it a little bit more clear. I just want to put out a couple of things. First off, thank you to Ralph and the staff and our department heads. You guys are great. We love you to death, and you do an amazing job. We also need to mention our grant writers. I mean, these guys have brought in money like no tomorrow and kept us afloat on a lot of things. And I appreciate the fact that we put in so much time and effort into that, because the returns have been amazing. Again, with our lobbyists and for the state feds and the county. Thank God that we have this all comes about. Any surpluses and stuff on here come about because of the relationships we have with the people that represent our areas. So I don't want to harp on that, but I want people to understand that there's reasons why this town is successful in what we do. It starts here. It starts here, but the relationships are very important. So that's something that's big on my side is the fact that we try and maintain the relationships that we have with the people that help us bring money to this town. So I thought it was important to mention that. That's all I got.
Thank you, Councilmember Ramirez. Just a couple of comments again. Thank you, Councilmember Lord, for bringing up the focus on those particular areas. And I think that it's important to point out, I'd really like to commend the staff, the council. 10 years, I've been on the council 10 years now, and I remember 10 years ago, options were brought before the council to look at potential land purchases, right? We did a study and looked at all of the available land at the time, and at that time, it wasn't so much that we were looking for land to buy, but we were more concerned about what was going to happen to those large parcels, right? And how could we really direct the growth? I mean, and the reason I bring that up is because tonight we really saw a lot of finances around properties. And one by one, each one of these properties became available, and the town council and staff, we were not afraid to stand up and take the chance to acquire these properties through different means, mainly because now we would be able to control what would happen to these large parcels. Started with the Legacy Park, all right, 16.5 acres. We were able to acquire that property. Coastal Ridge Park, we were able to acquire that property. Both those properties and even Legacy Park, Veterans Park. All three of those properties, we were able to have the bold stance to stand up and acquire those properties from being developed. Had the council not had the fortitude to be able to act, and the town staff as well, those properties more than likely would have been developed today. But we stopped that. And unfortunately, there were some issues with the property that we had to take care of. And it has put a slight strain on our budget. The only one that really wasn't part of that was Blue Heron, and that was kind of gifted to us. And of course, we took control of it. We had no idea at the time that it had arsenic or that it would need to have the remediation that it did. And to all of our residents out there, on the council and our town staff, we all stand beside you for the preservation of green space. And we know that this has come at somewhat of a strain on our finances. But I would rather take that strain and that pain today, because 5, 10, 15 years from now, that pain will be gone. But all of that land that we acquired will still be here. So again, just bear with us for the next year or so as we get through this, and the benefit will certainly outweigh any of the pain that we're seeing today. Thank you, Mr. Manager.
Thank you. In fact, Vice Mayor, you brought up some great points that I think it's important to highlight for the folks that are here and folks in the audience. But let's put some dollars, what you said, right? So Legacy Park, right? We did a land swap deal, right? We just say it really quickly, but that was huge. We land swapped the current our town hall, which is the current building that we bought, right? That we bought with the vision of trying to have income producing. It was costing us money. And the lot between us and Mercedes-Benz, a 2-acre parcel, plus $3 million cash. So keep that $3 million cash right there, right? Coastal Ridge Preserve. We were able to successfully negotiate with the Fortune Company. We bought it for $8.5 million, below appraisal. Below appraisal. That's important. Okay. Veterans Park, earmarked for a potential CVS and mixed-use development. There were 143 units and some change, and CVS for years, right? You said you've been in the council 10 years. I think that applicant came twice. So we finally got to the point that we were able to negotiate $8.5 million. Again, all 3 properties were willing sellers to the government. We did not have to invoke any type of eminent domain or what have you. Willing sellers, all 3 properties, Coastal Ridge Preserve, Veterans Park, below appraisal. Legacy Park, you might want to fact find me there. I think it was below or at appraisal. I know it wasn't above. It wasn't above appraisal. Just to give you content, $20 million to purchase 28 acres, remove over 618 unit development rights on Oak Cutler Road, and still have $27 million in the bank. Think about that for a second, because I just did. And I'm like, wow. I mean, we take it for granted, right? We take it for granted, but that's important. Still, what we were able to do, and if you recall, you were on the council, Vice Mayor, and I think Councilman Duncan, the mayor, we had the Get Fit plan when we had the financial advisor here with Lourdes Alberdine, right? And our financial advisor, that we were able to bundle, like you would do at home, bundle, consolidate the loans in order for us to then issue new loans to purchase these properties. So again, I know I'm just going off a little bit there a second, but it's amazing what we've been able to accomplish with the leadership of this council and previous councils as well. With going back to, I remember, Vice Mayor, when we did I think it was Councilmember Coriat. Remember that? Yep, he's shaking his head. Yep, we've become those old timers now that said, let's do a study of all the vacant land left. Like the mayor likes to say, they're not making any more land. And we went through a process. We ranked them. And then we we went after it without invoking any type of eminent domain and having, again, relationship with these property owners that we're able to purchase. So kudos to previous council members, current council, and like you said, you know, our grant writer, Lakeisha, who's been with me for like over 13 years, and our other lobbyists that bring money back into the town to offset the balance. But again, I just want to expand what you said, because it is, when you start reflecting back, like, wow, look where we're at today. We are the largest property owner on Oak Cutler Road. We removed over 600 units and still have a really robust, healthy savings. So, but thank you, Vice Mayor, for bringing that up, because if not, then I wouldn't have gone on this rant. No, but I think it's important now, again, with as I mentioned before, what we could do now, and we'll go through it quickly, is to go, if we could bring up the PowerPoint presentation there, sorry, the presentation for the budget. What I'd like to do is we could go through, and if there's any question on any departments, I'll go to each department. If there's any questions, again, the public has the copies of the book in the back. All the budget worksheets are in the book, and what we could do, Mauricio, just bring it up. All right, thank you. So this sheet here is our general fund. Oh, there we go. Shrink it a little bit there, okay? I know it's going to be a little bit smaller, but that's fine. Thank you. Okay, so this sheet looks familiar because in my PowerPoint presentation, this is our general fund sheet that provides all the revenues in the top and all the expenditures and the fund balance amounts in the bottom. And you'll see on the bottom there, on the bottom of the book, you'll see any type of significant changes. This is like a little quick recap. The recap. This is right after the executive summary. So then if we go into the Mayor and Town Council, I'll show you what that looks like. This is a Mayor and Town Council's, budget. You can see there the different, proposed change it all the way to the right-hand column there, net change. And then it goes into each of the sheets there, and you can see the net change there of, what was it, like 19,111 there. And then you could break into each of the different sheets if there's any question. Again, kind of how you operate. It says the executive salaries, payroll taxes, retirement contributions, life insurance. Each of those are a budget worksheet there. So at this point, I'll just pause if there's any questions on Mayor and Town Council. Nope, seeing none. Okay, thank you, Mauricio. If we could go to the next department. Town Clerk's Department there, you will see one of the major increases here. We know what's happening in November. We have an election. We know there's the potential of a runoff, and we know there's going to be a special election. So that's why you see that increase there for other contractual services. And thank you, Mauricio, and the clerks there, because we've been working closely, again, with our partners. And again, talk about relationships. Alina Garcia used to be our state rep, who's the election supervisor, has worked closely with her staff, with Mauricio, literally answering every question. I think at one point she was on vacation in Spain, and she was texting me when we had a quick question. So I just want to publicly recognize, Alina Garcia and her staff. I'm sure Mauricio will echo that, getting all the responses, and more importantly, securing those runoff dates, qualifying times, and obviously the budget for those special elections. So that's the most significant change in the town clerk's budget. Vice Mayor, if you any questions or nope. Okay, thank you. Next one is general government. General government here, it comprises all the administrative staff, town manager's office, all the different types of administrative staff there. And you'll see the breakdown there all the way on the right-hand side, all the different, I call them little letters, cross-reference letters there. You'll see all the different expenses there. I think the biggest item you'll see there all the way towards the bottom where it talks about that principal and interest. Okay, that is going to be what we talked about, the gap financing that we approved for town hall. That's going to be one of the major expenses there. And if you scroll up a little bit there, Mauricio, we just see all the different categories there. And again, it's all spelled out there on the side. Increase reflects, I'm on item I. Increase reflects anticipated completion of costs of the new ERP program. That's going to be reimbursed, from ARPA. And also it talks about on item J there, the two big ticket items on this item there reflects scheduled amortization of town's existing debt, including the leases for new March 2026 loan. That's the gap financing we talked about. Okay, so that's the biggest change. And again, you could go into different details there for different, salaries and taxes there and what have you. So if there's any questions on general government. No, okay. Finance Department, as you can see there, we know that we just, I know we're currently still in the cone of silence, but we do have two bids that are for external auditors and also financial advisor. So those, we know that there might be an increase just because, our contracts were like 6 years old. So we know that. So that accounts for some of that increase there. And then also you have, let me see here, increase and result in primary budget. Yep. Audit fees and pending RFP. Yep. So those are the different items that we have there. And there's the increase for that department. And then again, details, if there's any questions on details, we have the worksheets there. So if there's any, Vice Mayor, there's any questions on this one?
Ralph, I'm going to suspend through the chair recognition as we go through the rest of this. If anybody has any questions, please feel free just to.
Perfect. Just, okay. Thank you, Vice Mayor. Okay, next department we have is the town attorney. As you know, we contracted out to one of the best law firms. And we have any questions on that? No. Okay. Next. Okay, the community development department there. We actually have a decrease in that department. As you recall, we have now started going away from our consultants that we would contract out our inspectors. And now we've hired our own in-house inspectors. I think there's only maybe one trade that we are still contracted out because we have not been able to recruit. I think it's a mechanical inspector. But there you see a lot of the results of bringing some of those inspectors in-house. Okay, you can see particularly there on where it says net change under item A. They're just doing some quick math. It's almost nearly $160,000 worth of savings by bringing in those inspectors as part-time employees. So I want to thank Santiago and Julian and Vivian for working that. That was a lot of hiring, a lot of background, and still keeping the same level of service that when a permit comes in for residential, no more than 5 days to review, and a commercial, no more than 10 days to review. Still keeping the same standards. Same time. Now, folks are going to get comments, but they were reviewed. 5 days residential, 10 days commercial. We'll still keep in the same standard with our staff, and so far it's been working great. Also, is the front desk clerks now are town employees, so now there's more ownership there when somebody walks in. So, Vice Mayor.
Yeah, Ralph, just so the folks out there have an understanding, Florida Building Code in most municipalities in the state of Florida review plans 30 days. So the Florida Building Code gives municipalities 30 days to review plans, and trust me, every single municipality except us takes 30 days. So thank you very much for pushing both those.
Yep. Thank you, Vice Mayor. In fact, and I would like to thank the council too, because as you recall, one of the commitments that we did was we committed over $865,000 from ARPA. That was a grant from the federal government through the COVID era that we were able to go through what we call an ERP software program. And every department, I know when they hear that word, everybody's cringing because I mean, these folks come in, Tyler, and they want to meet with a good example. I know Robert's online, hey, Robert, do you have like 6 hours in your day to meet? Like what? But they're going through each department, and one of the portals that they're working on right now, I know it's really, really dark days, but there's going to be some sunny days after that, is the building department module. So yes, Vice Mayor, there will be a time that folks can submit electronically, and we could review electronically. All the disciplines can review electronically, but most importantly, then that could be uploaded to Miami-Dade County, Durham, and fire electronically. So I mean, if there's a way to have a ribbon cutting for that, Julian, Santi, we got to figure that one out because that's going to be our dream come true. So Vice Mayor, it's going to happen. It's going to happen, Vice Mayor. So that is great. Again, that's any questions for community development? Again, community development is comprised of building department as well as planning and zoning department as well. So, okay, next department, please. Public Works Department. So the Public Works Department there, one of the things that we know that we're going to have a little bit of increase is our, again, funded through ad valorem taxes, very important. The stuff that you don't see, right? You don't see tall grass in the swales. You don't see litter. You don't see palm fronds or shopping carts or what have you. So there, the largest increase is going to be there on little item C, which is the increase that reflects about townwide right-of-way maintenance. Again, that is a placeholder. We're going through the bid process. If you recall from the last council meeting, council authorized issuance of an RFP for landscape maintenance. That contract we currently have right now is over 5 years old. We know that those rates are going to increase, but we also know the market is very, very competitive. So we are going out to bid. And again, that is a placeholder. Hopefully that number maybe stays the same or if not lower. We'll see how competitive the market is for landscaping for all of our right-of-way maintenance. Just to give you an idea, the right-of-way maintenance, the cut cycles are 36 cycles per year. 36 times a year is when they're cutting all the maintenance to the right-of-way. 7 days a week litter pickup. So those reason why I'm emphasizing that, because as we talked about before, that kind of looming property tax, Save Our Homes, act that we're talking about here. This is direct result of ad valorem taxes, right? So again, this is something that just want to draw attention to council, but that's the largest increase that we anticipate that as a placeholder. So if there's any questions for Public Works, okay, thank you. Town Sheriff's Department, as we mentioned, again, we receive excellent service. Our police major Leo Rosselli does a great job with his command staff, keeping our crime stats low, response times low, and that is an increase that we talked about, 925,000. As we mentioned, we're going to be meeting all three cities, myself, Palmetto Bay, and Miami Lakes, with the sheriff's office to try to see if we get some cap, but also, just to have that conversation, right? Because last year was about a $900,000 increase. This is another $900,000 increase. So we just want to have that. We'll have that conversation, talk about different options with our sheriff's department. Okay. Next, Parks and Recreation Department. So here you're going to see some large numbers, right? So one, in the net change, you'll see the items there. Item A, we talked about. That is, a lot of it is due to our pool closure. All right. And I know in some of my agenda briefings with council, we know that's a little stopgap, right? Because we know we're going to have a pool. We're building one. So we understand that. But at least for now, those folks are no longer with the town. But at the same time, we know that we are savings in the brownfield there. You see under item D, as in dog, that decreased because Blue Heron Park will be completed in the current fiscal year we're in. Okay, so that expense is not coming over. And then we talked about the utilities that we are savings, and also the capital outlay that is for the $200,000 match for Saga Bay Park playground equipment that we're still working with our friends at FDP and FERDAP. So we're working on that as well, and that'll be hopefully it'll be this fiscal year. I'm trying to bring this item either September or no later than October, trying to get that purchase done in this fiscal year. So that's what a lot of the major changes there are in the parks. But more importantly here too, another commercial plug for ad valorem taxes. This also is where we pay our contract to maintain all of our parks. 100% funded through ad valorem taxes as well. So again, this is just another point that I'd like to make there. So if there's any questions on parks? No? Okay, thank you. Next department, please. That's it. Oh, come on, I'm on a roll. Okay. All right. Well, thank you, Mauricio. Sorry, I got to the end. I'm like, oh, no more fun. But I think, thank you, Vice Mayor and council members. I know there was a lot of more extra material I want to add there because I figured the timing was right for that. And I'd like to also thank each and every one of you individually of sitting there, spending time and hours with me, reviewing this. I know from the general public, wow, this is really quick, but I think just a lot of things that we do, individual council meeting briefings that we have, but nevertheless, the budget workbook is posted online. The worksheets are online. as I promised before, working through the clerk's office, we're going to provide the PowerPoint presentation online. This video will also be online that we are available to meet. Our next budget workshop will be on August the 25th. And there you will see the same, a little bit modified presentation, because there now we start in presenting our special revenue funds, a lot of our projects, JPAs, items that are paid through different grants, through PTP funds, and also our stormwater utility fund as well. So with that, that concludes my presentation, Vice Mayor.
Thank you very much, Ralph. We appreciate it. Any final questions or comments for council?